close this on up. A little chilly. Well, hello friends, Coach Bob with you today, and today we are going to be talking about the ever-loving interstate, man. You know, there are two types of people in this world, those who hate the interstate and those who hate the interstate. But the interstate, as we all know, is a necessary evil. There are times where we have to be able to lay down the big miles and we want to be able to go the higher level of speed and that sort of thing, and not have to slow down in little towns and that sort of stuff. And so the interstate is definitely a necessary form of travel in this great country that we live in. I know that all countries are not created equal when it comes to size, and the United States of America is enormous east to west and north to south. So a lot of times we may be getting on the road and we may have to do 600 miles in a day and be only a quarter of a way across the country. It's a big country, and interstate travel is just part of it. Now, anyone who's ever ridden the Spyder, this is going to apply, first of all, let me get this out of the way. This is going to apply to motorcycles of any kind. In fact, I would say that the strategies in here would apply to automobiles as well, but more so to motorcycles, whether it be the three-wheeled or the two-wheeled flavor. And, you know, the first thing you want to make sure that you're capable of doing before even attempting interstate travel is you need to be comfortable with interstate speed. Now, what is an interstate speed? I'm going to say anything from 65 miles an hour to 85 miles an hour. I know you're saying 85, that's crazy, but there are parts of the country, in fact, in Texas, I believe the speed limit was 80, if I'm not mistaken, out there. So you can be doing 85 and you're not going to get a ticket. You can ride right by the state patrol and they're just going to wave to you. Now here, the interstate speed varies from 65 to 70 miles an hour normally. And that's just, you know, in this area. I'm going to get on the interstate. I'm comfortable with the interstate. I'm comfortable with the speeds. So let's talk about interstate travel. But as we wait to hit this merge lane, do me a favor, give the video a big old fat thumbs up. You know I would appreciate it, but enough of that. We got interstate driving to do. All right. So the very first thing, I'm looking ahead here, and I've got this on this on-ramp. It's going to be merging there. I have to watch out for them, even though they're supposed to give way to me. We have to merge. The first thing you have to do is get up to speed. Use this acceleration ramp. That's what it's designed for. You can see I'm up to 60 and I'm not even rolling out yet. So here I am at 65. The speed limit is 65 here. I should be able to blend right in. I'm going to look over my left shoulder. I see the car in front of me. He's not stopping, but I still have to be aware that he could. Why would he do that? Because he would be stupid, but that happens. Going to hit the old blinker. I'm looking. There's nothing there. Very, very easy that time, right? Now, there are times where you're going to have to speed up or slow down in order to get on the highway. You are merging onto the highway. It is your responsibility to get in there. If there are cars galore, you have to find the gap, you have to find that spot, and you have to work your way in. Now, I'm going to tell you that there are people who aren't going to move over for you, and there are people who aren't going to adjust for you. Now, I'm not one of those people. If I'm driving down the interstate and I'm in the right-hand lane and I see people trying to merge on, a lot of times, if there's no traffic, I will slide over to the left and I will give you room to get in so that you don't have to adjust your speed wherever you are. We're just going to work it out. That's just being courteous. Am I required to do that? No, I am not. So understand that when you're merging, rule one is get your speed up and check yourself before you merge into traffic. Make sure you're not getting in front of somebody and them having to slam on brakes and cutting somebody off, or running out of the lane and having to run into the emergency lane where there's a lot of debris. So focus on really learning to merge, do it smooth. All right, number two is pretty easy. You can see how far I am behind this truck. Now this truck is probably 10-15 seconds ahead of me. I should never be closer than 3 seconds to an automobile on the interstate. And I'm going to tell you, when it comes to these big guys, I give them plenty of room. Imagine you're driving down the interstate in your car and all of a sudden one of those tires comes apart on that truck. We've all seen it happen, right? and you hit that big rubber tire, and it is irritating and noisy. You may even knock your tire, your front wheels out of a line, right? Well, on a motorcycle, it's not that way. On a motorcycle, that can be a fatality. That can be your life. You hit that tire, even on a three-wheeled version, you can cartwheel down the interstate. It can be very, very ugly. If that tire that weighs hundreds of pounds, a big piece of it that weighs 50 pounds, flies up in the air and hits you in the head, it'll tear your head right off. You want to have room. Give yourself room. Give yourself room. So make sure you don't follow too closely, not just with big rigs, but with automobiles as well. Now I'm going to speed up here, not because I'm in a hurry, but because I'm trying to do something for you here. So we're going to come up behind these cars. You can see I'm having to really hustle down here to get it on up here by these guys. But I'm not going to close my gap more than 3 seconds because I really don't want to get close. One of those guys, a deer runs out, he slams on brakes, and I'm eating the back seat of an SUV. That doesn't sound good. But I'm coming up here to show you something that you don't want to do. All right. So I'm going to change my lane here, which I'm turning my blinker on in order to do that. So I'm too close to this guy. But I'm going to show you this. I'm going to come right over here, and the one thing you don't want to do is ride right off this guy's quarter panel. That is called a blind spot, and that is called a blind spot for a reason. He can't see you, and what he'll do is you'll be close, and he will change lanes and scare the crap out of you, or maybe even run you off into the ditch and kill you. Never ride in the blind spot of an automobile. Do not do it. Don't just sit there. And that's for city driving as well, but especially at the interstate. When you're at high speeds, you need to be very, very cautious about where you are in relation to that vehicle. So always remember, keep your distance and never ever ride in a blind spot. Let's talk another thing for all things motorcycles. Let's talk about lane position. Lane position is not that big of a deal in a car because, let's face it, you're in the lane. There you are. On the Spyder, I try to get my left wheel reasonably close to the center line. I don't ride in the center of the lane. I would try to occupy what they would call lane 1 of the lane. You have 1, 2, 3. You have 3 positions in the lane. So I'm going to be as close as I can to position 1, which is the left-hand side of the right-hand lane, or the left-hand side of the left-hand lane on the interstate, both of them, right? So I'm going to occupy this position, and the reason is I don't want people coming over into my lane. I saw a motorcycle recently riding. He was in the far right-hand side of the right-hand lane. But it was very, very interesting because this guy, man, he was just asking to be killed for someone to just run him right off the road and occupy that lane with him. Remember, you own the lane. You don't own position 1, you don't own position 2, you don't own position 3. You own the lane. This lane is yours. Make sure that you keep it. Now, I'm not telling you if somebody comes moving over on you not to get out of their way. We'll talk about that one in a minute. Now, you see this guy, he's merging. He's not going to be a problem for me, but I am looking at him. I'm looking at his speed because I may have to go around him. I may tuck him behind him, you know, that sort of thing. And so you're always analyzing these things. All right, but enough of lane position. So lane position would be number 3. Think about your lane position, especially on two-wheelers. So number 4 is about lanes, but not lane position, but what lane you're in. Now, right now, I have my cruise control set on 71 miles an hour. Now, there are those who would say that is way too slow for the interstate. I am doing the speed limit. I am doing over the speed limit, actually, here. The speed limit here is 65 miles an hour. So, are cars going to be blowing by me? There are going to be some who are. But if I'm not going fast, I am not in the left lane. If you want to be a jackleg and be hated by everyone on the highway, whether you're in a car or on a motorcycle, get in the left lane and don't go fast. You know, in Texas, they'll write you a ticket for it. In parts of Florida, they'll write you a ticket for it. But it's still a crime here to be in that lane if you're not passing someone. That's a passing lane. It is not a fast lane. That's a passing lane. Technically, you're supposed to pass and move back over. Now, we know that there are times where you're going to pass the car that's 2 seconds, 3 seconds up the road, so you're not doing this. So you do have to use common sense and good judgment. But that lane is for passing. It is not for riding in. It's 71 miles an hour. It's just not. All right, so next, let's talk about the ever-dreaded passing. So you can see we're starting to close on this big rig up here. And I'm going to accelerate here in a moment. I got some guys coming around me. I don't want to accelerate while these guys are passing me, because that's another thing that's rude. Don't you hate that? You go to pass somebody, and then when you get beside them, they start accelerating. Don't you hate that? Don't do that either. All right. So you can see this guy's done it right. He's gotten over, but he's got a big rig coming up behind him that was eating his lunch. So he's like, I don't want that guy to run me over, so I'm going to get out of his way. And he did the right thing. Likewise, you're on a motorcycle. You don't want that guy running over you. But what I was going to say is this: when you make a pass, and I'm not going to run up here to catch this guy. I was going to, but there's just too much movement here, and I don't want to be irresponsible. But when you go to make a pass, make your pass. Get out there, get around them, and get back in position. You don't have to ride out there. If you're changing into that fast lane, because let's say you're doing 71, the guy in front of you has a beater and he's doing 60. Everybody over there is doing 80. You know, you're going to have to speed up, or those guys are going to have to slam on brakes not to run into the back of you. Be courteous when you make your pass. Make your pass. If you're not comfortable at those speeds, stay off of the interstate. There you go. So enough of that one. So next, this ties into the last one. Watch your speed. So remember, you're on the interstate. It's very, very easy to speed up and not realize you're doing 85 miles an hour. All of a sudden, you're blending in with the traffic, and you have a deer run out in front of you, and things behave differently and close differently at 85 miles an hour than they do at 75 miles an hour or 60 miles an hour. So watch your speed. Don't go too slow. Don't go too fast. There is a sweet spot. Find it, enjoy it, and be aware of it. All right. Well, before we get going with these last few, if you would do me a favor, give the video a big old fat thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, comment again, comment one more time, and then leave your real comment, which means you hit like a thumbs up comment, cool comment, a winking emoji comment, and then leave your comment. That way we get tons of comments, moves us up in the algorithm, and all of a sudden, man, we're growing like crazy. But make sure your notifications are on, all that stuff. You don't want to miss any of this content. You sure don't. If you have any advice of your own about how to ride on the interstate and do it safely, be sure and leave it right down there. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, I'd love to hear what you got to say. All right, so the next thing is this. Make sure that when you change lanes, and you know right now this is pretty simple, right? This is a 2-lane interstate. When you change lanes, use your blinker. So if you're going to move left, turn your blinker on. If you're going to move right, turn your blinker on. If you're in a 3-lane, you know where you have 3 or 4 or 5 lanes going one way on the interstate, use your blinker. If you're going to change it, turn your blinker on. You're going to change again, turn your blinker on. Yes, you may be blinking a lot. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with blinking a lot. Let people know that you know where you're going. Let people know that you know what you're doing. Now you can see this diesel in front of me. I don't know what the depth perception looks like. Now I've slowed down because I'm getting off on this exit here. 1001, 1002, 1003. So I'm a little more than 3 seconds behind him, and I'm going to tell you that's a little closer than I like to be. So my blinker's on. The guy behind me knows I'm exiting. You don't decelerate until you get on the off-ramp. Do not decelerate on the interstate. Don't decelerate out there, because if you do, you're gonna get run over. All of a sudden, you're doing 45 getting off the interstate, and some dude just comes running right over the top of you. And I'm gonna tell you, when you look like a pancake, it ain't gonna be happy time. I can promise you that. You know, they have to bury you in an album cover. I already got my blinker on, getting ready to re-enter the interstate, head back towards the house. Here we go. Same thing. Now, I've got multiple things going on here. Let's talk about them. I'm accelerating out here. I'm making sure that I have my 3 seconds between him and I have to look at the traffic going in this direction and work my way in. It is my responsibility. So let's do this again. All right, here we go. Looks good, clear behind. I'm going to hit the old blinker, and I'm going to move right on over into my lane, and I'm going to turn that baby right off, and there we go, just like that. Everybody knows what I'm doing. There are no surprises. Good habits. All right. So the blinkers, if you're passing someone, if you're getting off the interstate, if you're moving over, use your blinkers. All right. Also, understand that you have these things called emergency flashers. If you have to pull over in the emergency lane, turn your emergency flashers on, and then that way people won't run into the back of you, or at least they have a less chance of running into the back of you and killing you. Right? Okay. Enough about the blinkers and the lights, but use your lighting. You know, that's why you got it. Now, you see I'm closing on this guy here. I've got cars coming up behind me. I got one jack leg. It's pretty dark here right now. It may not look, I don't know what it looks like on camera, but without any headlights on. I'm talking about not using your lights, right? So let's get on around this guy. So you can see I'm not gonna dawdle. I'm gonna get out here and get around him. There are guys coming up behind me fast, and I'm watching them. I see the guy in my rear view mirror. I have plenty of spacing. I'm gonna look over my shoulder. My blinker is on. I'm in the lane. Now the blinker is off. There you go, just like that, simple pass. All right. Now you can see that with me, I am looking around a lot, right? You have to drive defensively. That's the next one, drive defensively. So what does that mean? You know, you hear that a lot. You're not just looking at this guy in front of you. You can see him, you can see the two in front of him. You're looking for trouble. You're actually scanning the road. It's more than looking, you're scanning. You're looking for hazards, road hazards. You're looking for automobiles that are broken down. You're looking for law enforcement. You're looking for the State Farm truck that drives up and down the road and helps people. You're looking for children that may have gotten out of the van to pee on the side of the road and all of a sudden escape mom and dad, and you're running down the interstate. Now, I'm not saying that would happen, but it can. You're looking for the guy walking down the interstate with the gas can, going to get gas, and a snake scares him and he jumps out into your lane, and you don't want to run over him and kill him. You're looking for trouble, not just cars, but everything. Animals, cars, people, debris in the road, a ladder. I've had a ladder come off of a truck in front of me and almost ran over it. I've had foam pads from carpets blow out of trucks where guys had cut things up. They were hauling it to the dump. I had a 2x4 with nails in it go flying out in front of me one time, and I managed to miss it. Ride aware, pay attention to what's going on, drive defensively. All right. And the very, very, very last one is this. This is probably the hardest one of all, sometimes. I find it quite easy most of the time. You may not. And if you don't, then you need to change. I'm just going to say it right there. And that's this. Be nice. Just be nice. You know what? Somebody cuts you off. Be nice. The reality is, you are on a small vehicle, a motorcycle, 2 wheels or 3 wheels. You don't have bars and steel around you. You get some psycho hacked off at you, he'll run over you. Be nice. Give them room. Get away from them. Be nice. You know, whenever I hear the phrase be nice, I think of Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze.
Be nice. If somebody gets in your face, I want you to be nice. Ask him to walk. Be nice. If you can't walk him, one of the others will help you, and you'll both be nice.
All right. Well, it really isn't that hard to be nice, is it? You know, if Patrick Swayze could do it, and all of his buddies and all of his trainees could do it, and they could turn the Double Deuce into a nice place to go, then you can definitely get on the interstate and be safe and be nice. All right. Well, you know, I got about, I don't know, another 15, 20 miles before I get home. I've enjoyed making this video for you. So I do love to ride, and I know you do too. So do me a favor until next week. You, yes you, go out, buy the motorcycle of your dreams, eat right, take care of yourself, and remember, if you're not having fun, you are definitely doing it wrong. Now you go seize the day, and I'll see you on the road real soon. Riding down the interstate, that old black ribbon, yeah. Give me 40 acres and I'll turn this rig around.